All right, everybody. This is Dog Awful Betting. We are back this week with a podcast. We were going to do one last week, but our schedules conflicted a little bit. We weren't able to get one on. But we're here today. We're going to do a recap of the divisional round last weekend, kind of what we thought of each game, talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to do our predictions on the next podcast, kind of what we think is going to happen this Sunday. But right now, let's start with the divisional round. We're here with Parlay Puffin. We're here with Sideways Jarvie. If you like what you see, please give us a like, a follow, a share, give us a comment, um, whatever. Like I said, we're trying to build a following here. We could use all the support we can get. You can find us on Twitter at Dog Awful Betting. You can do we're on Facebook as well. Just search Dog Awful Betting. We'll pop up. Give us a like and a follow and a share at those spots as well. We'd appreciate it. All right, so let's dig into the divisional round. Oh, by the way, I am at South Point Casino. Bam. Some old lady betting sports right there.
Betting the ponies.
Pretty. Yeah, well, ponies are on the other side, but yeah. All right, so let's save the Chiefs game for last. And actually, I didn't really get to watch Saturday's game. I was working. But let's go ahead and do the Giants and Eagles game. It looked like I tried to tune into the scores and stuff when I could between working and stuff, but it looked like the Eagles pretty much handled the Giants from what I've read and the highlights I've seen. Daniel Jones was freaking awful. So I don't know. Did you guys watch it?
I watched like the first half, and then I kind of just went back and forth. But I mean, that was a classic case of one team just completely outclassed. I mean, there was I don't know anything the Giants could have done. I mean, they shut down Barkley, they shut down Jones. The Giants defense had no answer for Hurts. I mean, it was literally, it might have been the most one-sided playoff game between divisional opponents that I've seen maybe ever. I mean, it was awful. Really lopsided.
Based on the score, it looks awful. Let's look up some stats real quick. Let me see the stats.
I can tell you right now that defense and that front there for the Eagles is really good. They had several sacks, and they just got pressure really good. Their defense is really good, as much as good as San Francisco's is. Eagles is a really good defense too. I mean, they're not quite as good as San Francisco, but it's going to be a battle. I can tell you that. But that defense there really just, I mean, they manhandled that offense. Kudos to their offense too.
I'm looking at the Giants stats right now from that game, and you're in a divisional round playoff game. Saquon Barkley only had 9 carries. How does that happen?
Yeah. Because they got blowout.
No, they were down 14 in like the first 6 minutes. I mean, it was unbelievable.
I get it, but he's still your best player. He only had 3 targets. He's a good receiving running back. He needs at least 7 or 8 targets at least. I know you're down. Get him the ball one way or the other.
Yeah, no, I agree. They couldn't, but I mean, honestly, I mean, I don't know if they could have if they wanted to. I mean, that, like Shane said, that front four of the Eagles was smothering.
Yes,
it was impressive.
Yeah,
it really was.
Let's see. Giants had 13 first down. Eagles had 26. 7. The Eagles had 17 rushing first downs.
Yeah,
I mean, that comes down to the Giants' defense just sucking balls.
They couldn't stop. They couldn't stop. The quarterback for the Eagles, Hurts. I mean, he just rushed like crazy against them. They couldn't stop him either.
Yeah, it was just. I mean, truly, there's really nothing even. Other than talking about it, but
Jones was sacked 5 times for 26 yards.
I would love to know I wish there was that they kept a stat, and I'm sure they do. I'm sure some guru out there could get it. I would love to see the stat of the average yards like that the Eagles offensive line pushed the Giants defensive line on every snap. I mean,
that'd
they
be
were
something
like
like
2
Pro
yards,
Football Focus.
and they probably do, but they were. I mean, Shane, you correct me, but it felt like as soon as Hurts touched the ball, the Eagles' offensive line was already like 2 or 3 yards down the field.
Yes.
I mean, it was unbelievable how dominant they were.
Yeah, they manhandled them.
And it, like I said,
They did.
I may be exaggerating when I say that number, but it just felt like it, like that there was nothing that the Giants could have done.
Yeah, there's really not much to say on this game other than just one side just absolutely dominated the other. But I mean, it'll be interesting what the Giants do this offseason. Do you think the quarterback is going to be there? Do you think Jones is going to stay there? Do you think Saquon's going to stay there? Do you think both won? What do you think?
I think both. I think they'll tag Jones or actually what I think they probably will do is they will probably go ahead and get Daniel Jones locked in and then tag Saquon and then try to fill in, some pieces around him, at the wide receiver position and stuff and get 1 or 2 years out of Saquon and then probably let Saquon either walk or hope that he takes a lesser amount would be my guess. But
I heard something today that Saquon said he wanted to come back. So
yeah,
I think he's
but I'm
probably
just saying if
to work with them.
But
if they
I
want
also heard he wants Christian McCaffrey money too.
well, he's
So
going to
we'll
get it.
see.
He's going to get it.
Maybe.
I'm not saying it may not be the Giants, but he's going to get it from somebody.
Yeah.
So the Giants might as well pay him,
But
But I mean, I don't know. What do you do? What do you do at this point? I mean, with Jones, I feel like you almost have to lock him down because, I mean, outside of one of these guys coming into the draft being head and shoulders better than Daniel Jones. I mean, Jones has already got 4 years in, 5 years in? I mean,
Derek Carr's available.
Would you rate? Do you think Carr's better?
Would you rather pay Derek Carr or would you rather pay Daniel Jones?
It depends on what type of offense Dayball wants to do. If he wants to do what he was doing with Josh Allen, keep Daniel Jones. But Derek Carr's leaps and bounds a better passer than Daniel Jones ever.
Well, I mean, we say that.
He is.
I know, but no, but I'm saying we say that, but then in the same token, look, Jones has been pretty dang good the last part of the year for the Giants throwing the ball. I don't think it's fair to Daniel Jones. I mean, look at the stride he took from last year to this year, just 1 year under Brian Daboll. You know what I mean? So he's still young enough to where he can improve to a point where I don't know. I think it's probably I think the risk that you take, I guess I'm looking at it from a risk standpoint for the Giants. The risk that you take not locking Daniel Jones down where what you have and going back to the draft. I mean, even if you trade for Derek Carr, you're still going to have to draft somebody.
Like I said, I think it comes down to what type of offense Daboll wants to run. If he wants to do what he's doing with Josh Allen, you keep Jones there, see what he's got. He's obviously still young enough. But I think if you have Derek Carr, like I said, he's a more capable passer. He's going to open more things up, especially if you're going to keep Saquon. It's going to open things up, and he's going to be a better, more efficient runner, I would think.
Yeah, if the Giants if the Giants go out and they get a legit one right now, they have nobody at that position. So I mean,
they're leading. So last Saturday, their leader in targets was 10. It was Richie James. I've never heard of this guy.
Who is that?
Yeah, I've never heard of this guy. Second was Darius Slayton. And then Saquon with 3, and then Daniel Bellinger with 3. So yeah, they don't have any receivers at all.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I think the NFC. I think it's going to be kind of the same as it was this year. I think it's going to be between the Cowboys and the Giants and maybe Washington if they can get some help. But they're gonna have to make a decision. It's gonna be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right, enough time on this game. Let's move on to the Bills Bengals game. I kind of watched bits and pieces of this. I was in and out of this game. It looked like the Bills just didn't show up to play.
Well, they showed up. The
They showed
Bengals
up.
just absolutely
They
put it
dominated. Yeah.
on them.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a clinic, kind of like the Giants and Eagles. I mean, from the hop, the
Yeah.
Bills had no chance.
Yeah. And I mean, I know that the rankings show that the Bills play at home and everything, but I think the better team really won, though. I mean, realistically, I think the Bills really took a step back when they lost Von Miller. I mean, their defense completely changed when they lost him.
Mhm.
And that whole, with you compare the two teams, I know that they lost a couple of offensive linemen. The Bengals did, but I mean, they've got a good receiving core. They've played together for a little bit now, and I think Burrow and Chase and all of them have just got a good chemistry. I just think they're the better team. I just thought that going into that game, I know I should review that team and it's the Bengals because I just feel like the better team was the Bengals, and but we'll see going in this next week. We'll talk about that later. But, I just think the better team won. They just manhandled, they owned, they did everything they wanted. And when your offense is clicking that good and you can do that, your defense can thrive in better places too. They can. And I think the Bengals just did that. They just know we got to stop Josh Allen's run. And in that snowy weather, just they don't. That's the other thing. The Bills have no run game at all. I mean, besides Josh Allen, and just good luck.
Did you watch the game night? Did you say
I was in and out. I didn't really.
Shane? Kind of piggybacking on what Shane said. I watched the whole thing. The one thing that really stood out to me about that game, outside of the obvious, Buffalo, as that team is constructed right now, they are not built to win in Buffalo.
Mm-hmm. No.
I mean, it's never been more obvious than it was on Sunday. I mean, every play was a deep out to Diggs or Allen trying to make some. They are not built to turn around, hand the ball off to a guy like, say, Joe Mixon and play in that weather.
Right.
And, if everybody remembers back to last year in that Patriots game, when the Patriots I think you and I actually watched that game at Caesars when my dad and I were out there. I mean, the Bills are not built to play in that kind of weather.
Nope.
And which is mind-boggling to me because that's where they live. But I don't know, Shane, what do you that was the biggest thing I took away. It wasn't so much that the Bengals dominated them, because they did. It was really about how unprepared the Bills looked to be in that weather, which was shocking.
Yeah. I mean, they just basically said, we're going to try to let your run game beat us, but it ain't going to touch us. And there's just no run game for the Bills. I don't know what their salary cap is. I'm sure it's not too good right now to go after like a Saquon. But I mean, what I'm saying is they need help on that run game besides just Burrow being your only effective person. And I mean, Burrow's kind of been on
Allen.
Not been his best season this year. He's had a lot of turnovers, fumbling the ball and interceptions and stuff like that. Not to say he's still not a great quarterback, because he is, but I mean, he's had his frustrations, I'm sure. And I mean, Diggs, if you saw that night, did you see that where Diggs was calling him out there on the bench just back toward the end of the game, just like, what's going on, and just out of frustration to everything. So there's a lot of shaking up, I think, going on, and just I don't know. It's going to be an interesting offseason how this team kind of gets together.
Do you think that has to do with Dayball leaving?
Yes.
Probably.
Because who was their coordinator this year? Was it Dorsey? Was it Dorsey?
Dorsey. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So yeah, that'll be interesting to watch what happens with that. Yeah, I don't.
And I mean, and you know, Allen missed a lot of throws.
Yeah, he was 25 of 42. So yeah.
Well, but I'm saying, I'm not just talking about like he had 7. I'm saying like throws that he should make in his sleep. I mean, he wasn't. He yeah, he was. And he, like, there was that blitz by Hilton around the edge. He came from the far hash, and Allen never saw him. And he came from his front side. He didn't even get him from the blind side, the one where he jarred the ball loose or whatever, but it was incomplete. It was just yeah. I mean, I'm with Shane. The Buffalo or the Bengals were the better team. People, I feel like, bought into the Bills hype that was put in front of everybody all year long, and nobody actually looked at the teams. And I mean, I know I've been saying it all year in our text thread. The Bills have no run game. And if you can slow down Josh Allen, you will beat Buffalo.
Yep.
I mean, that was the, if you look at the games that they lost this year, Allen had decent numbers. He wasn't Superman. And the other team just said, no, we're not going to let Cook, and we're not going to let Singletary beat us. And Buffalo has no answer when a team does that.
Right. And see, when Von Miller's in that lineup, you can have those issues going on and whatever.
Yep.
But when you have to have Josh Allen play superhero ball the entire game like that without having a defensive team like when they had with Von Miller, then you're going to lose more, I think. I mean, I just think that the better team was that. Now, I do think that they were one of the, final, best 8 teams available. Obviously, I think that they were up there as far as, still a good team, but they're just, I mean, Cincinnati just proved that last year was no fluke, and man, they're just a better team, I think.
All right, sounds good. Look, good stuff there. All right, so let's move on. Let's get to the Cowboys and the Niners. I did watch part of that game, and it was a really good game, actually. Really good defensive game. I was actually surprised. I thought, I think, didn't you take the over on it, Doss?
I did, and it didn't even sniff.
Yeah, I expected it to be a decent scoring game. More,
I really thought it was going to be a shootout. I mean,
yeah. I expected like a 31-20 something game, but yeah, it obviously wasn't even close to that. What do you guys want to talk about on this
one? Well, I'll start with simple things first.
Dak.
I mean, I'll get to Dak in just a minute, but I mean, this San Francisco team is exactly what you need when you have a Dak type quarterback. Is you got to have a solid, great defense that's really going to carry you. It's why, I think that whatever the San Francisco's quarterback not asked to do a lot, just manage the game, get through each thing, and I mean, they got the playmakers on that side to do that. McCaffrey was like we talked about last.
Oh, see you, buddy.
Oh, we lost him.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was piggyback off what Shane said. McCaffrey's a huge difference maker. But one thing I will say about Purdy is he's been real good for what they've asked him to do, but it's getting to the point now where he's going to have to start making a play. And my one reservation with San Francisco going forward is, he obviously gets the Eagles now. Is he going to be able to make that offense go enough? Because San Francisco, I don't think they're going to shut down Philly. So I think Purdy's going to have to get 20, 24 points to give San Francisco a real shot here. And so, is Purdy going to be able to make that 1, 2, 3 plays? That's going to bail the team out, because eventually, like we were talking, the Eagles are going to get pressure on him, and they're gonna take away one of the weapons. I mean, they're gonna take one of them away. So I think we're finally gonna figure out what this Brock Purdy kid's made of, and I just don't know if San Francisco's got enough at that position to beat a defense like what Philadelphia that is complementary with that offense.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
let's save that conversation for the predictions.
Yeah.
But as far as this game goes, did San Francisco win it or did Dallas lose it? That's the question.
I think Dallas lost the game.
I mean, I think that Dallas lost the game, but I also think the better team won. But yeah, well, if you want to talk about Dak, we'll talk about him right now.
Well, I'm just saying
San Francisco scored 7 points.
I'm just saying it was 9-9 after the third quarter. So
well, that's what I'm saying. San Francisco scored 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
Well, that was the difference in the game, basically.
What else do you want? What else do you want that defense to do? I mean,
it's true.
Dallas's defense was legit. And I mean, I don't know if you watched it, Nide, but
part of it, yeah.
Okay. Those 2 interceptions were all-time bad from a decision standpoint. I mean,
right.
It was, I know people are trying to divert it to Kellen Moore and say, well, Kellen Moore wasn't creative enough, and Kellen Moore didn't utilize Dak to the way that Dak needs to be utilized. Well, maybe, but the second interception, I think it was, that was the fourth, that was his 4th read on that play, and that was the second time he went to the read in the same play. He went there first, it was first read, then he went through his progressions, then he went right back to that one as his 4th read. And you had 2 defenders just standing there waiting for him to throw the football. I think, and he was this way all year. He had horrible decision-making at the worst possible times. And I think that's what I took away from it, was how inconsistent he was after he had been consistent for the majority of his career. Results not so much, but he's been pretty consistent in reality. I mean, he earned his contract.
Yeah.
In my
I just think that's the issues that I have. He's just not great at reading defenses, and he's just not very good at making decisions in key moments. And in a lot of times, I mean, these throws sometimes, I mean, there's a lot of throws that he had the other day that were atrocious. But I mean, one stat shows that, going into this game too, I mean, he led the NFL in interceptions this year, and that's playing 4 less games. And, he didn't play 4 games this year too. So, I mean, just shows you how much he just couldn't keep it together. I mean, just forcing plays when he didn't need to force them, not reading the right defense, and just, and I know he was playing a good defense. I know that he was playing the best defense in the playoffs right now. I mean, hands down, I think San Francisco's the best one, with, Philadelphia being a number 2 on that. But I just think just his inability to just make the right plays and to see down the field the way he's supposed to is just continues to be a thorn in the Cowboys side now, with just trying to make a push in the playoffs every year now.
So let me pose this question to you guys. Can you win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott?
No.
Not constructed this way, I don't think. Mm-mm. But
why can't you win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott?
Because I don't think that Dak is. Let me rephrase that. I think Dak has hit his peak. I don't think Dak will get any better than what he was the last year or 2, year and a half. I think what we saw from Dak when he came back from the injury, I think that is going to be the Dak going forward that we saw. I mean, and I know it doesn't matter, but I mean, Cooper Rush did more in his little, sample size than what the guy that you're paying $35 million did. And I think also too, I think he has proven that when he gets into that, when you need one throw from him, I mean, you need one throw at the right time. He has proven in the playoffs that he makes the wrong throw.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's coachable. I think that's just his MO because he's done it for 6 years now.
Right.
I
What do you
disagree
think?
with that. I think he can. I think you can. There's been worse quarterbacks than him win a Super Bowl. So I think it comes down to coaching and the way the team is ran. I mean, Eli Manning, he's not any better than Dak Prescott. Nick Foles is not any better than Dak Prescott. Ben
No.
Roethlisberger is when he won his 2 Super Bowls, he was no better than Dak
Well,
Prescott.
let's pump the brakes there.
Pump what breaks? After
Dak Prescott is not even close to a Hall of Fame quarterback. There's not an argument you can make that Dak Prescott
I said after 7 seasons, he is actually a better quarterback than Ben Roethlisberger was, and he won 2 Super Bowls. I've looked up the stats today.
So, do you think that the Pittsburgh Steelers were more loaded than what the Dallas Cowboys are right now?
Like I said,
and that's a legitimate question because I've got a follow up.
Well, because it comes back to me as like I think he's good enough. I'm not saying he's an elite guy. I'm not saying he's a top 5 guy. I'm saying with the right coaching around him, he is a good enough quarterback to win a Super Bowl. Like I said, if Roethlisberger and Eli Manning can win 2 each, they won because they're coaching. They were well coached teams with strong defenses.
Okay.
That's exactly what Dak is. He's got a strong defense, and he's better than those 2 this far into their careers.
Mike McCarthy's a Super Bowl winning coach.
We question.
Well, no, I'm just saying.
We question his play calling all the time.
I don't question his play calling. I question his clock management.
Game management, play calling.
Game management. I think that here's okay. Let me frame this differently from my perspective. I don't think Dak can win a Super Bowl because I don't think that Dak is on any planet comparable to the top 3 QBs in the AFC right now. And that's who you have to go through if you want to win a Super Bowl. So I don't think there's any coaching in the world that will give Dak Prescott's team a competitive advantage on the field if he faces Burrow, Mahomes, or Allen. Or throw Lamar into that mix too. Let's throw Lamar in. I just don't. He's not the best quarterback in his own division.
My shoulder hurts, but that's another conversation. Yeah.
I'm not.
My answer's
no.
no.
My answer is no, just because I think just the money he's got. And here's the deal. I think that before he got that contract, he was a lot more mobile. He was a lot more, had everything. And I know he got hurt right before he got that contract. And Jerry was like, I'm going to pay you because I like you and whatever. And now you're trusting him to be more of a pocket passer, which he was okay at, but he's just okay at. He always had to be more of that mobile. Now he can move the chain some, but I mean, it's just his inability just to see the field, make the right plays, do those types of things. I think is just his biggest downfall. And can he win one? Maybe later in his career when he's not making buku money and they can sign him to a cheap deal and the defense is really, really good. but you're not going to win. Here's the problem in this day of football, and you want to say these puke quarterbacks back. I mean, how long ago was that? I feel like it's been at least a decade plus ago, and these quarterbacks now, it's a new ream of quarterbacks that I think is just hard to win in now. I mean,
I think the contract that I think that's a Dallas is loaded on both sides of the ball. And I don't know what else you can give him to give him an opportunity to go win a Super Bowl. I don't see it. I don't see Dak as having that one play in him. When it matters, your season's on the line, I would not trust him. And if I was a Cowboy fan, I would not have any faith that he can get it done.
So I'm going to throw some stats at you real quick. We only got like 3 minutes left.
I just saw that, yeah.
On the recording. So this is just their first 7 years, okay, in the league. So Dak Prescott has 24,943 yards, okay? That is second among Flacco, Roethlisberger, Manning. Not Foles, obviously, is not going to be up there because he's pretty much been a backup. But Flacco, Roethlisberger, Manning, they've all won Super Bowls. He has second. Only Joe Flacco has more at 25. He's a little over 25,000. TDs. Dak Prescott has 165 touchdowns in 7 seasons. Is number one. Flacco with 148. Roethlisberger with 144. And then Manning has 160. Manning has 156. Now, interceptions. Dak has the least out of all these guys. He has 65 interceptions in 7 seasons. Flacco has 90. Roethlisberger has 86. And then Eli has 113. So, like I'm just trying to reiterate my point is like he's the best. He's better than these guys. So you can't. I don't understand how you can say that he can't win a Super Bowl if these guys can win a Super Bowl.
Because I think that, as Shane said, in that day and age, let's just be real. You had to beat one guy. Okay. You had to beat Brady. Because even at this point, Peyton wasn't getting it done. What I'm saying is that Dak has to be the best quarterback over a month and a half span, and he has to be better than the absolute best guys that we know one of them is going to be there. And I don't think he has the ability to lead a team, to put them on their shoulders, go head to head with one of the big four in the AFC and get it done. I don't believe he does because he's so inconsistent. Is my thing.
Yeah.
It's the inconsistency that he shows in big moments is my issue.
Yeah. I just think it's just a new wave of football now, and I just don't see it in the guy. I mean, I just don't. And if you look, you want to compare Joe Flacco to him. Joe Flacco was nothing great at all. But when you look at his run in his Super Bowl run, that 1 year that he won Super Bowl MVP, his stats in that month run was historical. I mean, it was stupid compared to like some of the all-time greats when you're looking at the stats he threw up that playoff run. So in order for Dak to ever do it, he's going to just be an absolute historical all-time great, and I just don't see it. I know you probably couldn't see it in Flacco because I didn't, but I mean, I just think in this day and age, it's just going to go. But anyways,
right, we got to go. Peace out. We'll
good
come
review
back.
there.
We'll come back on the next podcast.
See you guys.